Good morning, everybody. It is not Inside Scoop with Sue. It's Fridays with Sue and Steph. She thinks I'm making it up. I swear it said that. Oh, now we're Fridays with Sue and Steph. Hi. So today's topic is summer and teens and the things we worry about. So one of the things, and I think with a little twist on the world opening back up in, are we calling it post-COVID-ish? So I think for me, one of the things has been just the abundance of time and wacky time. So managing the the driving, the late nights, the where is everybody? Wait, who's out? Wait, was she driving? Was he driving? Did we tell that one we needed the car? Or did that one tell me what time they would be back? Like there is definitely a lot of uneasiness. For me, it's so less scheduled. So I would say that's for me the biggie.
So in terms of summer, that's what you're worried about, or?
Yeah, I would say that's where I've been coming out of COVID. I think it's more just like, is it all safe now? You know, so like I think those were like my past worries were revolved around the like safety from the who's got a car, who's coming, who's going. It's 12:30 now. Wait, did we give him a curfew? Like those things. Now my head is like, is it safe? Can they all just be together? Can they all be together if they're vaccinated? And do we just go with the honor system? Because that seems to be what's going on. I don't know.
So I feel like summer for me was always kind of like this fraught time when they were teenagers. Before they were teenagers, I loved Camp Sue. I was like, sad summer was over. It was always embarrassing to say that because other people were chomping at the bit to get their kids out of the house. And I mean, obviously a part of me was thrilled to have a schedule again.
Yeah.
But I really loved like planning the day like I was Julie, the cruise director.
Yeah.
And then they get older and they don't want you to be their cruise director. And I always wondered, which I wouldn't anymore, and I probably didn't with my youngest, but I always felt like downtime was dangerous. Like that's when bad things happened, when you were bored and you didn't have anything to do and you went searching for some excitement. And I don't think I hold by that now, but I don't have anyone to test it on anymore. Like my youngest, when he's bored, built a desk last summer.
I know. I think there's two stories there, right? I think both stories are and can be true. Like I remember my sister had this line when her oldest was in maybe like 10th or 11th grade and was like testing some of those boundaries about like, well, what time she could be. And she was pretty much a rule follower. But my sister's line was always like, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock.
Oh, so I think it was either Eka or Mindy who said nothing good happens after midnight.
Oh, well,
I did not.
I'm going to twist it. Everything bad happens after midnight. I'm going to
right. 10 o'clock in my house, things were just getting going.
Oh,
but it's like I had this whole vision in my head because we were already doing Your Teen.
Yeah.
And I thought the answer to adolescence is, which I guess I don't completely disagree with today, but like there's no place for teenagers to go. And like there are bars for when you come home from college and presumably are legal. There are, places that you can go and rent and get together with kids, or centers where you can go to. But teenagers having places for teenagers, there's, I think there's just not a lot of money in that business model. Yeah. So they end up hanging out. Mm-hmm. I don't want them hanging out.
I know. It's such a hard thing. And that's where I'm starting to go, is that boredom does force the creativity, and that like when my kids were, it's like what you just said, when Jacob was bored, he built a desk. When my kids were bored, they were bored. They used to do like these shows with the cousins. We have like thousands of hours of
but how old were they? How old were they when they did that?
Well, the oldest ones were like 14, 15.
They still did it?
They did. Yeah. They did. So it was not right. Like, yeah. And then but they had the younger ones behind them, right? Who were willing participants. It's different when the youngest is 15 or 16 amongst the six of them. That's very different. But but it also forces them to pull games out. Like, I mean, so many late nights of Catan currently, you know what I mean? So like, I do love, they can all be true. And it's always wondering, like, is it a Catan night or is it a night where I don't know where anyone, I don't know where anyone
is. That Settlers of Catan that you're saying?
Yeah.
We don't call it Catan. I was like, what is she talking about? We need that game.
What do you play? What's it called?
Settlers of Catan.
You call it Catan. That's funny. We call it Catan. That's so funny.
Yeah. Maybe it's our language of birth, of origin.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like it feels like riskier things happen in the summer without the structure of school, which is kind of interesting because kids didn't really have the structure of school during COVID, but they had this external constraint that like didn't give them all the freedom, or any freedom for that matter. So what is this summer going to look like for kids who they're desperate to see their friends? They want to get out and hang in a park, which is like my worst nightmare. Hanging in a park.
I know. I was thinking how quickly I go from, oh my God, I can't wait for them to have like that freedom, be able to hang out. Oh my God, wait, where are they? There's no, like, can't sit anywhere for more than a second. I know. I think it's a weird time. And I do think, at least according to the CDC, it seems like they should be safe from that standpoint. But I wonder, it's kind of like we've been talking about the pent up demand for restaurants, my husband and I, you know, like we tried to get into a restaurant like even a month ago. And he's like, you know, this is what it's going to be like all summer. Like people have been waiting to go. Like it's going to be really hard to get into a restaurant. And I'm wondering, is there an analogy there to the kids feeling like pent up and wanting to be out and doing their thing? I don't know.
In my family, 2 kids cannot wait to go to a movie in a movie theater, and other kids.
We had one go last night.
What?
One went last night. That's so funny.
But then other kids were like, never again. I don't ever need to go. I mean, I'm so happy watching movies on my computer.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's going to be like one theme. And also those poor kids who really loved COVID. Like not in the danger way and the anxiety way, but in the lack of social pressure and not having to, you know, be anxious about social interactions that aren't comfortable for them.
And now they're like, that loved it.
What?
What about the poor adults that loved it?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it's people who felt kind of safe. My mother-in-law being one of them, who in the beginning was like, this is made for me. But you know, I think it's a funky time. Someone said that they read an article by David Brooks, I think, in the New York Times about the idea of having dates with friends, like that it's not like one-offs, but that you have like Friday lunch with a particular friend or friends, and how meaningful that is for him. And post-pandemic, that's what he's focused on. And so, you know, I think everybody is kind of pondering this, like what is it that I found most meaningful in the craziness of the pandemic, you know, always assuming that we didn't have the crises that some people did struggle with.
Yeah.
But if you were lucky enough and blessed enough to get through it and can now look at it and say, you know, I kind of liked, so in my house, I have a porch where I could have a friend over and we could sit on opposite ends and feel super safe. And I think I love that better than anything. Like I love seeing a friend like that. Brianna says, I'm lucky my husband and I have worked opposite schedules, so you could really keep your eye on your kids. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm sure they've loved that.
I could keep my eyes on my kids too, but it was because I wasn't sleeping, because I was anxious.
Okay, right. So here's the other thing. That makes me think about the fact that, especially for those of us with college kids, when they're in college, I'm not waking up at 2 a.m. to wonder where they are, or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. But as soon as they're in my aura, right? Like all of a sudden the eyes are open. I'm like, wait, did I hear the car? Did he come in? Is the door closed? Right? Like all of a sudden, and it's like, I can't help it. I'm not trying to be awake.
But it's not like, to me, it's not about not trusting them, or it's literally, if my husband didn't come home,
right?
If the expectation is that we share the space and he's not there, I'm like wondering where he is. When they're not here, out of sight, out of mind. Brianna, you say we have tons of Scout friends. We always watch other kids. What do you mean, like actual Boy Scouts, or that you have a pact with your friends that you watch each other's kids, or both? We did talk about that this week on, I think, Monday, behind the scenes. We talked about watching each other's kids and being in a community where people watch each other's kids. Brianna says yes. I guess it's both. So I felt like it's a little risky when you see someone else's kid doing something. And I think I'm not sure, but I might have been alone on that on the call. In my friend group, it is everyone, we all live in near each other. And everybody knows what everybody else's kids are doing from many ways. Like, my kids are friends with their kids, so I know from them. And it's risky to say, I want to let you know something's going on, because you get a call 5 minutes later saying, and I know something about your kid. Like, it's not, we're too enmeshed for that to be good. But Eka had one story that was so perfect. Someone she called a friend to say thank you for letting your kid drive my kid home. And the kid was not allowed to drive anyone. Like, the kid was in that period of graduated driver license, and their family rule was you don't drive anyone. And so the mom was like, oh, thanks for letting me know. And so she's like, wow. So those inadvertent things.
Yes.
That's one path. But I marvel at the people who talk about how, there are eyes everywhere in the community, and they tell their kids, and the kids know it, and it changes their behavior. In my community, it's just more complicated than that.
Yeah. And mine was exactly what you described. Like, we used to always say, like, Shaker's a small place. Like, people know things, and they just see things. I mean, yeah.
Would you call other parents to tell them what you saw?
I don't think I've ever been in that position, right? Where I saw something that okay, let me think about that. It seems
if people who are listening, tell us how you handle it. Like, have you ever called another parent when you saw, like, for example, my friend's kid took her car when he had his permit and they were out of town. And someone said, I can't believe, well, this is more of Eka's story, because they called up and said, you didn't tell me your kid got his license. And it was like, yeah, because he didn't. So Brianna says it depends on the situation. Right. If it were life or death, I would give up the friendship.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yes, everyone, I guess, will draw the line in different places. But I think I've done it enough in the wrong place where I've said, okay, well, that didn't work so well.
I've been on the receiving end. I've been on the receiving end of kid had like high school party, drinking. Parents came home. I had a kid there, and the kid whose house it was, the parents made him call all of the parents who had kids there to apologize for creating that or something. I can't even remember the details. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, but that I mean, to me, that's like great parenting.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was like, okay, great.
So Brianna, I'm going to share this one up because it's such a good one. The saying, when tattling, is it helpful? Is it hurting someone? I love that. Is it hurting something? I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, I love that as Brianna's profile. Is that a sand snowman?
Oh, is it? Brianna, tell us. Help us out. What's your profile picture?
It's adorable. Okay.
Anyway, so I love that saying. I think it's so true. What did we used to say about gossip?
Yeah. Is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true?
And did they have to be all three?
I know, that's the problem. And then I always said, but is it funny? No, because sometimes, I guess the idea, Sue, it's interesting because I think sometimes it can be true and necessary and not be kind.
Yeah.
Right. And
no, I mean, I guess it depends how you define kind.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally.
Like, if it's that's kind because you may lose the friendship in that.
Right.
But you may save your friends' kids, whatever. Maybe it's not as extreme as life.
Exactly. It may not be kind to say something like, your daughter or your son's been with all these girls, or your daughter has been with all these guys. Like, that's probably not so kind, but it might be necessary and it might be true. And it might be something the parent is just not aware, right? The kindness thing is a weird one.
Yeah, that one I think I wouldn't take on. I did talk to somebody once when I thought my kids were telling me the kid had an eating disorder. And what I realized in having that conversation with a friend, it's like until someone's ready to hear it, or the kid, it's like everything else in life. Like telling someone they put on weight isn't something we do because, first of all, we think it's inappropriate, and second of all, that person knows.
Yeah.
So having trouble, something like an eating disorder like that, it's unlikely the mom doesn't know.
So you did not have the conversation?
No, I did, but I got rebuffed, and mostly because I think they weren't ready. They didn't want people to. They didn't realize people knew it, and they weren't ready. To like own it. But behind the scenes, things were going on, and it wasn't my right to know it. I didn't care about knowing it. Chevy likes that you said that it's funny, but it is funny.
Is it funny? I know, because there's a lot of stuff that I know. I'm not even going to comment.
All right. So long weekend, everybody. In Cleveland, it's raining and gray and cold, and I think it's.
Is that what it's supposed to be all weekend? Do we know?
Well, it is right now, and I have a shower in my backyard on Sunday, and we were hoping to not have it be a literal shower. So, but it can get moved inside. Everybody coming is vaccinated, but I still hope that we don't get showered on.
It's showing no rain, just clouds.
Oh, is it? Yay!
Not warm necessarily.
Well, I'm not a big one for like relying on the weather report.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got a shout out from Chevy that she loves us. Yay, we love that you're here. And listen, Brianna has a podcast. What's it called? Parenting Talk on mental health. That's great. People should check that out. And yesterday I spoke with Dr. Mark Goulston. I pronounced his name wrong, I think 3 times, even when he corrected me. And I also got a little therapy in there. The sound was off, so I edited it and fixed the sound, but I also edited my personal therapy that was going on because it wasn't relevant to the topic, while it was helpful for me personally. So that's going to go up today at 2:30 if anyone wants to check it out, or if you want the long 36-minute one that also includes him therapizing me. You can find that on yesterday's Facebook Live at 10:30.
Well, I feel therapized. Is there a therapeutic video? I mean, a therapeutic value?
So I think he was right.
I watched the first 15, 20 minutes and then I had to get off.
So he was totally right in what he said. It was off topic a little bit because so this guy is really a specialist in suicide prevention. Yeah. And he has this statement. First of all, he's an MD who is like a brilliant marketer. It's crazy. You look at his stuff and you're like, wow, like a lot of doctors aren't so business.
Yeah, right.
But he says that in 30 years of practicing as a psychiatrist, with suicidal patients, he never lost a patient to suicide.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that is such a compelling piece of information that I really wanted him to tell us, and he did. Why? How does that happen? Now, I'm not sure I can take all of his tips and make them work in my house as the mom, but the way I felt is like I'm kind of done saying that doesn't sound like me. I could never say it, because why not? Why not try it? So I hope people will listen to it. I think they were kind of practical and easy, but hard to implement.
I agree with that, Sue. I kept trying to think, like, how would I practice that?
Yeah, I know. On the other hand, you don't even have to follow all of it. You could do one of the questions, because he gives 4 questions, and you could see why they would get you to a different level of conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I really appreciated him, and we're going to get together again and have more conversations about it. But the next time I'm going to steer clear of having it be me lying on a couch. But Everyone
It
needs
happens.
some
It
therapy.
happens to the best of
It
us.
happens.
It
Yeah.
happens.
All right. Have a great long weekend, everybody. I hope you get some sunshine and have some fun.
Be safe.